Hey, this is Noah. Stadia's come a long way in 2020. Went from being a very barren landscape feature-wise and in terms of games, but by the end of the year, it's gotten to be. I'd probably go so far as to say this is where it should have been when it started, but that's probably blaspheming or something. Don't get it twisted. I use Stadia and I like it. So, with this video, I'd like to compile a list of things that I would like to see come to Stadia by the end of next year. Sooner than later, obviously. This is going to be put into three categories. Category one is mostly feature parity. Features that should be there, or features that are in some places but not others. Then there's feature ideas, features that either don't necessarily have to be there, or otherwise just not there at all. And then lastly, the classic games that I would like to see. So feature parity, the first thing I would like to see would be direct to YouTube live streaming on all platforms. I think it would be absolutely hilarious as if I go into work and I'm playing Doom Eternal on my phone and I'm live streaming at the same time, even using the microphone from my phone. Maybe that's just me. Then I would like to see state share used in more games. I realize that's mostly developer dependent, but I feel like it's an underrated feature with its potential. It's not being used as much as it should be. I'm looking forward to seeing what it'll do in Hitman 3. Stadia added a feature that's like really weird, where if you connect your PS4, Xbox, whatever controllers, any of them, to your Stadia controller, you could play it on your Chromecast Ultra. Like, it'll abuse the fact that the Stadia controller is sort of like a hotspot for your Wi-Fi, and it will work. Now, they had said that it only acts as just the controller itself. But I think they had said eventually it'll be used so you can use both as player 1, player 2, which would be nice, because in effect, I wouldn't have had to bought 3 Stadia controllers if that feature existed, because if Bryant comes over and we're playing Samurai Showdown, he could just bring his PS4 controller and we'll be dandy. Then Google TV support. I don't have Google TV, but it sounds like the Chromecast, but just better, objectively. So, the fact that that launched without Stadia support is kind of insane, but they did say it's coming. So it's sort of a cheap shot to use that in my list, but I'm using it anyway. And going along with the Google Home thing, Android TV support in general. Now here's some feature suggestions from Reddit that I got from this post, very specifically for feature requests. I'm not including everything on this list because not all of it to me is as important, because this is my personal desires for what would be included. After looking at the list, some of it does sound interesting to me. In general, having Google Assistant being more useful. In some of their original postings, Google Assistant seemed to be more useful. They made it out to be like, okay, so there's this really hard part in Tomb Raider, I could hit up Google Assistant, and boom, give me my answer. And also having Google Assistant available, like, everywhere. Buying pro games when you're still subbed. When you have a pro game claimed, you can't buy it, it just gives you the play button. A small oversight, in my opinion, but some people would appreciate that. Me personally, I'm like, well, I'm planning on being sub for the foreseeable future, so I don't think it's necessarily an issue. And honestly, it's not necessarily a requirement, because if you unsub, then you'll be able to buy the game. A wish list, self-explanatory. A shopping cart, being able to buy multiple games at once, just add it to your cart. That seems pretty self-explanatory. Gifting games, that's a big one. The only way I've been able to do that, sort of, is by adding Bryant and Drew to my family plan so they can just have access to my games. Bryant's probably playing Cyberpunk 2077 more than I am. A search bar, and the thing that murders me is in the feature requests is under their suggestion for the search bar is it's a Google product. HDR and web browsers, I don't know how that would work. I don't know if that's one that would be far-fetched. Personally, I don't much care. But that seems like something that should, like, I've heard that the quality on Chrome is not quite as nice as it is on the Chromecast Ultra, so I guess I'm including that as a statement of making the quality consistent. Onto feature ideas, couch co-op streaming, and this comes in 2 forms. Having 2 streams on the same TV, so you could have sort of like a game like Risk of Rain 2, where it's only online multiplayer, but you could have 2 of the streams happening on the same screen, so you could almost make it couch co-op. That seems like a cool idea to me. Imagine if you had a couch co-op game that doesn't have online multiplayer somehow, and your homie can't come over because COVID or something. Well, imagine if you could send your stream to him. They already sort of do that with the direct-to-YouTube live streaming. It wouldn't be that hard. And then a spectate feature. I'm not sure how I feel about this one because it sort of just falls under the category of the direct-to-YouTube live streaming, but I guess that is relevant enough to some people to be cool. An idea that I read that I thought was kind of cool. The process of linking your controller with the buttons seems a bit cumbersome. That being said, somebody suggested, well, what if you turn on the controller, hit Google Assistant's button, and just tell it to connect to a specific TV? I don't know how the controller works, but that actually sounds like it would be very useful. It would be kind of akin to when you have your Xbox on, you use the connect commands. Maybe a bad example. This is one that I think would be cool. Letting you use your phone as a controller for the Chromecast Ultra. And I also thought about it like, okay, to begin with, basically you would connect it to the Chromecast Ultra and you'd have the touchscreen controls. But what if you could use like a Wii U gamepad where certain, like if you actually had some games that supported using that as a specific feature, where certain displays will only show up on the phone. Maybe you could even go so far as to take it a step further that you would need the phone clipped to the controller, or using like the Razer Kishi. So you wouldn't even use the touchscreen controls, but you would be able to have certain things display to the phone. Now on to the actually fairly short list of games that I'd like to see. It's more about the types of games, not necessarily the actual list of games. First is just first-person shooters. I have very little interest in first-person shooters myself, but I do have an understanding that a lot of people want that, need that, whatever. And the fact that there isn't a Call of Duty game on Stadia yet is almost criminal. If you could have Call of Duty Warzone, a free-to-play experience, on Stadia, that would be kind of great, because the only reason I don't play it with Drew is because it's so, like, massive. My PS4 is basically a Yakuza machine. It would be nice to have an instance where not only do I have to not worry about a 3-day download time because my internet's already horrible, but it would be fantastic is if I could just play it, crossplay, and do the whole thing. But that would be nice. If Google has the kind of money to just incentivize people to put it on their platform, that might be a very, very smart decision to do. The next category would be RPGs. We already have a few. Octopath Traveler, Final Fantasy 15, but I think there's a sore lacking of that sort of experience. And in my mind, I think Dragon Quest XI would make a great choice. And then the last category would be platformers. I think platformers in general are somewhat scarce, few and far between in general, but I enjoy them a lot. I guess the only problem is that there's not a whole lot that are like really worth playing, but you know, you got a Hat in Time. Nice. Maybe ukulele to the right people. I've heard a lot of people suggest that there's a post on the Reddit page that has somebody pointing out the no internet connection Google Dinosaur minigame on Chrome, and just saying like, Google, please bring this to your platform. I'm sitting here like, it would be kind of funny as if they made like a fully fledged sort of like, I guess like an indie platformer title, using that as the premise. But I also saw somebody, as a joke for a YouTube video, they posted them making a remake of that game in, I think it was Unreal Engine 4, like with a graphical fidelity intended to like destroy your computer. So I'm imagining like, what if they did both? Where you could just play like, kind of like imagine what not Castlevania, that was a Freudian slip, Bloodstained did, where they had like the 3D graphics one and then they had the bonus 8-bit one, even though that one was kind of better. But that's my list. If y'all have other things that you would like to see them do for Google Stadia in the next year, leave it in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all the things. This is Noah. That's Google Stadia 2021. See ya.